Okay, hello everybody. This is kind of an impromptu video. I guess you can consider this my first fan mail, technically. I've been waiting on this package for a few weeks, I guess about 2 weeks. And I have a rough idea of what's in here, but we're going to go ahead and open it up. And then we have kind of the opposite of some fan mail that we'll handle after this. So we'll go ahead and open this. And this is something that we'll be using to do a video here in the near future. And I assume it will be of interest to essentially everybody who watches this channel. So, alright, what do we have here? This is packaging, I guess? Or these, I think these are bags that this person sent me for filament storage. And they're kind of like giant freezer bags with zip enclosures, so those are cool. Thanks for that. Here is the main thing. This is from one of my viewers whose name is Joseph. And he told me he was sending these. He didn't tell me he was sending me this. But we'll get to that in a second. Holy crap. I didn't know he was sending this many. These are IGUS bearings. I'm not sure if it'll focus on these correctly, but this is a bag full of the IGUS bearings that one of my earlier videos was on. And in here are actually all three types that people discuss and, I guess, argue about would be a better word, but these are the infamous IGUS bearings. And we have the RJ-MP type, the RJ-4JP type, which are the kind I used, and then these are the kind that are encased in like little aluminum enclosures. And there's a lot of dispute online about these, and I can already see some design differences. But there's a whole lot of conflicting information on the internet about these, and now that I have a handful of each type, we're going to try to do some definitive testing to try to lay some of this dispute to rest. And actually the outer dimensions of these are even different. So I guess I'm going to reach out to the comment section here, because this video will be coming, I would guess, in about 2 weeks. I'd like to have some time to do some tests. But if anyone has any opinions on what kind of tests we should do on these to kind of answer the question once and for all about whether or not we should be using these as 3D printer operators, if you have any suggestions for what we should do to test these to get to the bottom of some of the disputes that circulate on the internet, go ahead and leave a comment in here, because I am open to anybody's opinion on this. I have some ideas myself, but with anything, the more input you get, the better the results tend to be. So, like I said, if you have any opinions on these, leave a comment, and I'll take everybody's input into consideration when we finally do the video that tests all these different types and sees which ones are, if any, are appropriate for use in like our MK2. Sorry if there's noise. My printer's sitting down here printing away. But as you can see, I would guess there's, oh my god, probably 30 or 40 bearings in here. So we're also going to be giving, we're going to be doing some giveaways, and we'll give away some sets of these to anyone who's interested in having them. And the rest of the stuff in here, looks like he sent me a bunch of these bags, so they'll be handy. As anybody that watches this channel knows, I have a fairly damp basement, so it's a continuous problem. Also in here is, this is a filament that's made by IGUS, and I believe it's the same color as the, which ones were these? The RJ-MP bearings, and I suppose this is a filament so you can print your own bearings out. So we'll do some testing on that. I'm going to start doing probably a filament review or two a week. I've reached out to a few companies and have actually gotten some of them to send me some filament. So we're going to be doing some regular filament reviews, and this will be one of them that's coming up, because this is very, very different. This is a very unique kind of material, so I'm interested to test this. I think the biggest issue will be whether or not the tolerances of our printer is good enough to print something that requires as tight of tolerances as something like a bushing. But we'll go ahead and try that out. That's really cool. Thanks for sending that. And then this blows my mind because he didn't tell me he was sending this. This is a Toshiba Flash Air, and from what I understand, this is a wireless SD card. I've never even really heard of something like this, so that's really cool. And it's a 32 gig. But I suppose I'll go ahead and open it up here. I've never seen one of these. I'll thrash the packaging. But I have no idea how they fit wireless connectivity in something this small, but I guess they do. But I take it this is because, as it currently stands, when I slice a file, it's on my desktop that's sitting here to my left, and I have to put it in a shared folder, and then take the SD card out of my printer, put it in my laptop that has an SD card slot, and transfer the files that way, and then put it back in the printer. So if this would allow me to send things directly to the printer, that's pretty amazing. So definitely appreciate that. That's extremely cool. Totally unnecessary, but very cool. I'll definitely be using that in the very near future. And then two 3D printed pieces here. My printer's sitting down there printing, unfortunately. But anybody who has an MK2 knows that the Z-axis frame, the actual upright, kind of sits off it doesn't touch the surface of whatever the machine's sitting on. And these go underneath the corners of that and kind of just act as a fifth and sixth contact point instead of it just sitting on the 4 feet. So these are cool pieces. Unfortunately, I already did confirm. I use the dampeners. These little two-piece prints here that sit under the corners that prevent vibration from being transferred to the table that the machine's sitting on. And they're not actually compatible. So we'll have to come up with something. We'll have to come up with some kind of solution. But still appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man. Blows my mind. Nobody has to send me anything. I just kind of got a P.O. box because Joseph and a couple other people were bugging me about sending me stuff. And I've heard some horror stories on the internet, so I was kind of hesitant to give my home address out. But thanks a ton, Joseph. Big shout out for being my first fan mail sender. And like I said, anybody that has any input on what we should do for the IGUS tests, go ahead and leave a comment, because I'm open to anybody's opinions on the subject. Unless you're just going to, like, argue, then you can keep that to yourself. But the second part of this impromptu video is actually the opposite of fan mail. This I'm actually sending to a viewer. This is the monumental marble powder filament that I kind of touched on in another video earlier. And as you can see here, this actually isn't all the prints I've done, but I've done several test prints with a variety of settings. We even did some PID tuning on the heat bed and stuff to try to make this print better. And it's just not good, dog. I don't know if anybody remembers our little, like, fail dragon, I guess it should be called. But I just could not get good results out of this filament. And somebody else was claiming, they weren't claiming that they get better results, but they were willing to try it. So this is going in this envelope. And this will be in the mail tomorrow. And the person I'm sending it to agreed to give us an update after they've done some tests. So I'm really anxious to see how they fare with it compared to how I've fared with it. Some of these were almost promising, but then the layer adhesion just seemed to be kind of poor. And this is kind of like ABS-like in that it requires 100C on the heat bed. And yeah, I just had poor results. Between requiring such a hot temperature on the heat bed and not being able to have the part cooling fan turned on, it just kind of doesn't. Uh, Funny, my printer turned off, but now my home AC unit's on, so we just have a different noise. But yeah, the underside of this dragon is ugly. It's very ugly, and all of these just failed. It's kind of interesting how violently these popped off the bed. I think like this one was laying almost 3 feet from my printer when I found it. But yeah, this is coming your way to that certain someone who knows who they are, and you got to make sure you update us because I'm anxious to see how you do. Like I told him, I'm kind of torn. I hope he does well. I hope he gets good results out of it. But at the same time, I kind of hope it's a pain in the ass to him like it was to me. So I guess hopefully in a couple weeks, well, hopefully less than a couple weeks, hopefully in a week or two, he'll share his results with that. But like I said, this was just an impromptu video. Finally got this in the mail today, and I was excited to open it. Huge shout out to Joseph. Totally unnecessary. Definitely appreciated. I'll be streaming tomorrow. My printer was actually finishing up. We're going to be installing. You can see I got this cool orange. I'm going to do a review on quick in the future, but I printed all my cable chain pieces out in this orange, and we're going to go through the install process tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and I'll be streaming all of that. So stop by tomorrow if you want to see this go down, because I'm really anxious to get these hooked up. The stock printer comes with cable wraps, which are okay, but the cable chains are so much cooler, and these will protect all your cabling and stuff. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow. So stop by if you want to check that out. But that's it for today. As always, thanks everybody for watching my videos. Like, comment, and subscribe if you find any of this information useful, or like I say, you want to see this stuff, or the filament reviews, any of that stuff. If you want to see the battle of the IGUS bearings, also hit subscribe and check that out. Hopefully within less than 2 weeks, I'm going to try to get that video up. We've got to settle on some tests that'll kind of definitively answer some of the questions people have, and settle some of the disputes that people have argued vehemently about online. But yeah, check it out. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.